Hello and welcome back to the Python Basics tutorial. In the last video, I covered the print function, comments, how to declare variables and assign values to them. I also showed the many types of data you can assign to variables and how to get characters from strings, as well as string concatenation and multiplication. In this video, I will be covering operators, and I will begin with arithmetic operators. Here you can see at the top we have plus, minus, times, exponential, division, floor division, and modulus. This is all second grade math, so this should be pretty quick. Here I have the addition operator. My first variable is 8, my second variable is 2. My addition result, which is a variable, is equal to my first variable, which is 8, and my second variable, which is 2. So result should be 10, which it is. Remember, the print function prints the argument to the console. Here's the same. I have a subtraction operator, which is the minus sign, which you can see here. Instead of 8 plus 2, I do 8 minus 2, and the result should be 6, which it is. Next, I have the multiplication, which is an asterisk symbol. Here, my first variable is equal to 8, my second variable is equal to 2, and my multiplication result is 8 times 2, which should be 16, which it is. And next I have the exponential operator, which is 2 asterisks. And here I would get 8 to the power of 2, which should return 64. And indeed it does. And then the division operator, which is pretty straightforward, but there is one small trick. It'll always return in a float type. Even if both of the values are integers, it will still return a float type. And here you can see exactly what I mean. The value is 4.0, so that 0.0 means it is a float. Next we have floor division operator, which kind of does the opposite. It returns an integer. So here I have my first variable is equal to 10, my second variable is equal to 3, and if I make my floor result equal to my first variable floor division, my second variable, I will get 10 divided by 3, which, if it was a float, would equal 3.33333. So what is my floor result then? Well, it's actually just 3. What floor division does is it takes off the decimal point and any of the decimal places before it, and just gets the integer value. You can see if I try to divide 10 by 4, the float value would be 2.5, but since it cuts off the decimal place and the decimal place is the point itself, it will return just 2, which you can see it does right there. And lastly, we have the modulus operator, which returns the remainder of an operation. So here my first variable is 10, my second variable is 3, and my modulus result would be 10 modulus 3. And now what happens here is that when you divide 10 by 3, you get a result of 3 remainder 1. And what modulus returns is the remainder. So here, 10 divided by 3 would be 3.33333, but in fraction form it would be 3 1/3. So that numerator of 1/3 is really what we're looking for. And it's exactly what it will return. Just the 1. Now, interestingly enough, you can do a lot of these operations on complex numbers. So here I have complex 1 is equal to 3 plus 4j, and complex 2 is equal to 1 plus 2j. And so here I add first complex 1 to complex 2, which should return 4 plus 6j, and then I do the opposite, which is 3 minus 1, which is 2, and 4 minus 2, which is 2. So this should be 2 minus 2j. Let's take a look. Yep, exactly right. 4 plus 6j, 2 plus 2j, and then we have minus 5 plus 10j when we multiply them, and 2.2 minus 0.4j for the last one. So next we have assignment operators. We have the equal sign, which actually I discussed in the previous video. That's how you assign values to variables, and this is a prime example of how you would assign a value to a variable. But you can also assign variables to another variable. here I have my test variable, which is equal to my first variable. Now what this does is really just copying the value of 5 from my first variable and placing it into my test variable. So when I print my test variable, you can see the value is actually 5. And then if I change my first variable and I try to print my test variable, this value will remain the same. This value will be equal to 5. And exactly so. Next we have the plus equals operator. Now for the rest of these values, you'll notice that they look very similar to the arithmetic operators, except with an equal sign in front of them. That's because they do the exact same thing that arithmetic operators do, except it only has one variable. You can see exactly what I mean here. My first variable is equal to 8, and my first variable is plus equal to 2. Now what this really means is that my first variable is equal to my first variable plus 2. So instead of adding one variable to another, you add a value to a single variable and update it. You basically overwrite what this value originally was. And here you can see 8 plus 2 is 10. And the same thing goes for subtraction. So 8 minus 2 would be equal to 6. Very similar to the arithmetic, 8 times 2 would be equal to 16. And 8 divided by 2 would be equal to, that's right, 4.0. Don't forget, when dividing, even with this assignment operator, it will always return a float. Then we have floor division, so 8 divided by 2, or a floor division of 2, would return 4, since it always returns an integer. And then modulus, 8 divided by 2 gives us no remainder, because 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So this would actually give us 0, which it does. Next we have comparison operators. Now these operators always return either true or false. They always return a Boolean value. Here we have an example of an equal operator, and we have my first variable is equal to 10, my second variable is equal to 10, and we have a print statement here that says my first variable is equal to my second variable. So since 10 in this case is equal to 10, we will receive a true statement. Now we have a not equal operator. So basically what this means is that if my first variable is equal to my second variable, then the statement will be false. Because if it equals it, then that means it's true, but since we have a not operator here, that means that this will not be true. If it's true, it's false, and if it's false, then it's true. So here, my first variable, which is 10, does not equal to 9, which is true. And we do indeed get true. Then we have the greater than operator. So my first variable, which is 10, is greater than my second variable, which is 9, which is indeed true. And then we have the less than operator. Here we have my first variable, which is 10, and my second variable, which is 9. 9 is less than 10, which does indeed return true. And then we have a greater than or equal to operator. So this means that if this value is greater or equal to this value, then it will return a true value. So here you can see we have 10 and 10. So 10 is not greater than, but it is equal to my first variable, which means we do receive a true value. Here we have less than or equal to operator, and my first variable is equal to 10, and my second variable is equal to 12. So in this print statement, my second variable is less or equal to my first variable, which is false. In this case, 12 is not less or equal to 10, which means we should receive a false statement, which indeed we do. Interestingly enough, complex numbers can also be compared using comparison operators. Here we have my first complex number, which is 3 plus 5j, and my second complex number, which is 3 plus 5j. And if we print my first complex is equal to my second complex, you'll notice we have a true statement. Next we have logical operators. And what this basically does is this splits our statement into multiple statements. So let me give an example. Here we have a logical operator AND. We have three variables. Variable 1 is equal to 10, variable 2 is equal to 10, and variable 3 is equal to 20. In this statement, what we have here are essentially two separate statements. We have var1 is less than var3, and var1 is equal to var2. Here you can see var1 is 10, var3 is 20, so 10 is less than 20, and var1, which is 10, is equal to var2, which is 10, is also true. So here on this side of the statement, we have a true statement, and here on the side of the statement, we also have another true statement. And this AND keyword basically checks to see if both sides of this statement are true. And if they both are true, then it will return a single true statement, which it does. However, there's also the logical operator OR, which instead of checking both sides of the statement if they are true, it will return true if only one of the sides is true. So var1 is equal to 10 and var3 is equal to 20. On this left side of the statement we have 10 is greater than 20, which is false. But here we have var1 is equal to 10 and var2 is equal to 10, and that indeed is true. So even though we have a false statement, because we have an OR statement, we only need one of the following two statements to be true in order for this entire statement to be true. So let's check it. It should return a true statement, and indeed it does. Now we have the logical operator NOT, and this kind of appears a lot, so get ready for it. Basically, if it's true, then it's false, and if it's false, then it's true. This basically flips it around. So let's see, var1 is 10 and var2 is 20, so 10 is greater than 20 is a false statement. 10 is not greater than 20, but since we have a not statement in front of it, we have not false, which is indeed true. And indeed it is. Next we have identity operators, is and is not. So basically this is checking to see if two variables are not the same value, but actually belong to the same variable. So in this statement you can see var1 is equal to hello world, var2 is equal to hello world, var3 is equal to var1. And if we run the following statement, you can actually see that they are both true. This is because var1 is equal to hello world, var2 is equal to hello world, so the statement is true. And in this statement, var1 is equal to var3. With this assignment operator, we could also assign variables to other variables, which means hello world is equal to hello world. And then we have the same thing, is not. And in here, I changed up the variables a little bit. var1 is equal to hello world, var2 is equal to hello moon, and var3 is equal to var2, which basically means var3 is equal to hello moon. In this print statement, var1 is not var2, which is true, because hello world does not equal to hello moon. So this first statement is true. Now this one, var1 is not var3, hello world does not equal to var3, which is equal to var2, which is equal to hello moon. So hello world is not hello moon, which would also be a true statement. And indeed, both of them are true. Next we have membership operators. We have in and once again not in. So this is basically to check data within data collections to see if they contain values. And strings are actually also data collections, but we'll go over that in the next video. My test string is equal to hello world, and now we print to see if the word world is in this string, which you can see it, I highlighted it for us. Print world in my test string will return true. I forgot to comment this out. And if we print it one more time, we get a true statement. And then we have a membership operator not in. So we look at the same string again, hello world, and then we say print A not in my test string. So if A is not in my test string, which A is not in this test string, it will return true, which it returns true. So that was all of the operators. And now we will talk about the precedence of operators, or basically how do they order one another? What's the order of priority? You might have heard in school of the acronym PEMDAS, which stands for parentheses, exponential, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And it's a little bit similar with the parentheses and exponentiation, but then you get into the unary operators. These are called unary, by the way, because it is one variable. If we go back to these operators, you'll notice that we only have one variable. This is exactly why they are called unary operators. So we have plus equals, minus equals, times equals, exponential, division equals, floor division equals, and modulus equals. Then we have arithmetic, which is the exact same, except it is between two different variables. It is not just overriding or updating the same variable. Then we have comparison operators, which always returns a Boolean value. Identity operators, which also returns either true or not. In fact, the last four operator types will return a true or false. We have identity, which is are variables the same values, and then membership is do values exist within data collections. Then we have logical, which splits statements into multiple statements. Alright, this has been operators. I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.